Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Atobe Shohei Gunesho Shah. Good afternoon. Okay, then I think others will be joining. So let us wait for another 5 or 10 minutes, 5 minutes, so that they can join. Okay. Okay, I think I should start whether others join or not. Today we had a class right after 1 p.m. So, okay, we were, I think, on the artwork. This one. Sorry, I think I have not shared my screen. Is it visible to you all? My screen is visible, and am I audible? Hmm? Okay. So I think we had done this thing. The introduction, we had talked about the artwork, we had talked about the material types also. Okay, material types, that means based on the type of material, the earthwork is classified. Like it can be excavation, it can be topsoil excavation, it can be earth excavation, it can be your rock excavation, or it can be your mark excavation or unclassified, which means that either mixture of any two, three types of materials based on the that classification is done. Okay. So the next one is your what? What we're going to talk about is your excavation purpose. This were the classifications we are doing based on the material we have talked on the last class, and this is the classification of the earthwork based on your excavation purpose. Okay, this one. Based on your excavation purpose, there are different classifications. Exam excavation can also be classified according to the purpose of the work, right? So the first one is cut and fill excavation. So what does that mean is that this is the process of excavation whereby the material that is cut or stripped. Okay, the this name is on the process, the what type of process you are using for the excavation. Like process means this is, we are cutting the soil and then we are filling. So this is the process of excavation in this particular cut and fill excavation. So it is as we work, like we excavate, we cut, then we fill, we cut out the material, cut out the soil, and then we fill again the soil. So that is cut and fill. This is a process. So that process is based on that process, which is cut and fill. Your this is one classification, which is cut and fill excavation. Okay. Here, as I said, the removed topsoil and earth can be used as fill for embankments, elevated sections, and so on. Then it can also be used to form a level surface on which to build, as elevated sections of the site are cut and moved to fill lower sections of the site. So when we do this cut and fill excavation, and what we are doing, we are removing the soil from the ground for any purposes, like we are excavating, suppose for the foundation work. So what we do, we cut out the extra soil, and then we remove the soil. Right after construction of the footing, we again fill the soil, or we use those extra soils you can use for your embankment purposes if required. If you're not doing for foundation work, you are excavating for some like for a well, etc. So in that case, the excavated earth which you have brought out, cut and brought out, that is can be used in your embankments or elevated sections. Okay, so this is known as your cut and fill excavation, and that's why it is known as your cut and fill excavation. Now the next one is your trench excavation. So what is a trench excavation? A trench is an excavation in which the length greatly exceeds the depth. Okay, shallow trenches are usually considered to be less than 6 meter deep, and deep trenches greater than 6 meters. So when your trenches, okay, so when we do trench excavation, where we do when we have a higher depths, we have Okay, trench or footing excavation is typically used to form strip foot foundation, buried services, and so on. The choice of technique and plan for excavating, supporting, and backfilling the trench depends on the factors, okay, such as the purpose of the trench, the ground condition, the trench location, the number of obstructions, and so on. Okay, the second, there is no exam, right? Okay, okay. So what happens? This is your trench excavation. When we make trench, okay, so it is shallow when it is less than 6 meter. It is a deep trench when it is greater than 6 meter. Okay, so the common techniques that are used. Okay, let me. Okay, the common techniques that are used include what? The full depth, full length, suitable for long narrow trench of shallow depth such as pipelines and sewers. We use this kind of excavations when we need to form or we need to develop pipelines, this one, pipelines and sewers, or we have full depth successive stages which is used for suitable for deep trenches where works and can progress in sequence reducing the risk of collapse. Okay, stage that successive stages suitable for very deep trench in confined areas, deep foundation and underpinning. So these are different common techniques that are used for trenching. Trench means I know you all know that it is a narrow ditch which we develop. Okay, narrow ditch. So now the base next is the basement excavation. This is another purpose. Based on this purpose, we have this excavation, which is your basement excavation. And basement excavation is what? It is a part of a building that is either partially or completely below the ground level. Okay, basement excavation. Like suppose you have developed the we have suppose done the basement excavation, right? This is your basement excavation. Let me give my annotation. So if suppose I do this one, this is basement excavation is what? When suppose we have developed our footing, we have constructed our footing, we have excavated, we had taken, we have cut the soil, then we have constructed this footing, then again we had placed the soils, we have placed the soils for filling the land here above the foundation. Okay, so now when we have the foundation done, we need to develop, sometimes we develop at basements you require. So during that also for the basement purpose you have to remove some of the soils, you have to remove soil and make space for your basement construction. So that type of excavation based on that purpose is your basement excavation. When you excavate for the basement purpose, it is known as your basement excavation, which is above or partially above or below the matlab above or below the superstructure. Okay, now another one is, this is another purpose which is your road excavation. This is typically involves stripping topsoil and cut and fill. Okay, road excavation, you minded that like road excavation, obviously you don't need to excavate much, you don't need to cut much as corresponding to your, as compared to your foundation. Okay, cut and fill, in cut and fill or in trench excavation, what we do, we need to have a greater depth, we need to have a greater depth of excavation. So that those are okay, but for road excavation we don't need to excavate at a greater depth, we obviously know. So we need only the stripping of the topsoil, then we cut and then we fill again. That is your road excavation. Okay, bridge excavation, if we do, the purpose of excavation is what? The bridge. So what this particular bridge excavation involves is the removal of materials for the footing and the abutments. When we construct the abutments and the footings of the bridge, then we excavate at a greater depth with a greater diameter and a greater depth. So that is your, that kind of excavation which we do is your bridge excavation. Okay, the work may be subdivided into wet, dry, rock excavation, because sometimes your bridge which you want to construct a bridge which is above a rock, so we have to do rock excavation at that time. Rock excavation, how it is done, I told you, like we have to either use a blasting has to be done, or drilling has to be done, and then we do the excavation. That is another kind of excavation in rock kind of excavation. So based on that, when it is wet, what we do, wet in the water, when we have to construct the footings or abutments, that is your wet excavation. It may be your dry on the soil or the rock excavation. So underwater excavations may require special methods of drill and blast. Okay, so next, if we see, next is your dredging and over excavation. When we have dredging, is the process of excavation or removing your what, removing the sediments and debris from below the water level, typically from the bottom of the lakes, rivers. Okay, so that means what, when you're dredging kind of excavation is what, nothing but removing the bottom portions, like the from the soil or the whatever debris are present on your below the rivers, lakes or harbors and so on. Okay, so that is your dredging. You can call that to be dredging, that type of excavation. When you remove the sediments, debris from the bottom of your river, lakes, harbors, etc., for the different types of construction or foundation work. Okay. Next is your over excavation. This is the another kind of excavation, which is excavation that goes beyond the depth which is required for the formation of a below ground structure due to the presence of unsuitable material that must be removed. Okay, over excavation is what, when we do excavation much more at a greater depth, because we have to, sometimes what happen, we develop, suppose this is your soil and below that you should have foundation basically, but what happens when you have this ground is here, but you have developed another floors below the ground. Okay, these are below your ground. You have, like we have an attitude that -1, -2, minus, okay, -3, etc., -2, -3, etc., this kind of floors you have to develop at the below the building. In that case we do the over excavations. Okay, so these were the different types of your excavations based on your earthwork. These are known as your earthwork, which is based on your materials. You have one kind, based on your materials you have different types of excavation, like topsoil excavation, earthwork excavation, rock excavation, muck excavation, unclassified excavation. And another type of classification of the earthwork is based on your excavation purpose. The purpose, okay. So those are your cut fill, these trench, dredging, basement, road, bridge excavation, over excavation. Okay. So these were your different types of excavations. Now we'll talk about the masonry works. Okay, we are talking about the building construction practices here. The okay, so here we had talked about what the sequences we had talked. Uh, sh- we had talked about the sequences, construction coordinations. Okay, then we have done the marking also. Sorry. So after now we'll do what, the we'll talk about the masonry. So let me share where is my screen with you all. Let me check where it is, the masonry part I have. Okay, we'll talk about masonry, and the masonry will have different types of masonries, like it can be stone masonry, it can be concrete masonry, it can be brick masonries. Okay, Okay, so this is your masonry. Now we are coming back to this topic of now we are coming back to the masonry. Not back actually. Now we'll be talking about the masonry. Okay, so what is masonry? What do you know? What do you understand by masonry? Is that the term masonry refers to the construction material formed by combining masonry units such as stone, brick with a building material called mortar. Okay, so masonry is used to build. Masonry means what? It is nothing but we. This is a material which is formed by combining different materials. Like you can use bricks, and to combine bricks, what you need. Here you have brick one. Here another brick you have. So for combining these two, you will need some binding material, which is you nothing but which are you're called mortar, like cement, sand, water, etc. So you will have to, these are your masonry. It can be brick masonry, it can be stone masonry. Okay, it can be stone masonry. Then we have what? Masonry. That's why we call it masonry is a construction material which is actually a combining masonry units. Okay, masonry units, it can be stone also. It can be stone when you're mixing stones together, combining stones or bricks, okay, with the help of mortar. Now, another point is what masonry is used to build masonry wall, okay, which is vertical structure thin in proper proportion to its length and height that serves to enclose or divide a space and or support other elements. Masonry is one of the oldest material of construction. Examples can be found in all parts of the world, such as the pyramids of Egypt, the Great Wall of China. All those are masonry works, right? Because they are made up of combining, they are made how? They are made by combining different materials. Like the Great Wall of China is made of this bricks. You can see different bricks with masonry. Then we have the same thing is the pyramids. We have several Roman and Greek ruins, the arches and walls of Syria, and the great cathedrals of Europe. These are actually all these are masonry units, which are a combination of different materials. Okay, so masonry walls can be divided into two types. Okay, based on their location, that those are your exterior type. We have another one to be interior type of masonry walls. So exterior types are what? They are the load bearing walls. Okay, which are those which are exposed to the exterior environment on at least one side. So the interior one is what? The interior one is the non-load bearing wall, which is as in a wall that divides two adjacent rooms. We have those walls which are present in between the two rooms to separate two rooms. That is the interior type of masonry walls. These are the exterior types. Okay. Based on the structure, these are the classifications of masonry walls. Okay, based on their location, it is divided into interior and exterior. Based on structural requirements, walls can be divided into two types again, which are load bearing and non load bearing. Now, load bearing is what? Load bearings are also called as structural walls, are those designed to carry loads from other members. Like you say here, load bearing are what? Which are these are those walls which are constructed between the your on the rooms when we apply, because on the rooms what is happening, the walls which are made on the your rooms, they are the load, they are taking the loads of different, like the beams, right? They're taking the beams, and then the top floor loads are also distributed on the walls also. So these are your load bearing walls, known as your load bearing walls. Now we have the non load bearing walls. They carry their self weight only. Okay, like for example, a partition wall that does not support floor or roof loads is a non load bearing interior wall. Okay, this non-load bearing walls, this can be either interior and or exterior again, because when it is interior non-load bearing wall means what? They are not taking any load of the other members, like they are only the partition walls, okay, which do not support any floor or roof loads. Okay, for just to partition, we have just kept a wall. Okay, so next is your based on the method of construction. Okay, another one, the non-load bearing wall can also be not only interior wall but exterior wall Okay, when you give the boundaries on this, on your boundaries, you'd construct some wall, that is a non-load bearing wall, again exterior non-load bearing wall. Okay, next classification of the masonry is what? Based on the method of construction, walls can also be divided into again two types, which is solid wall or framed wall. Okay, so the solid wall is what? These are masonry walls which can be either of stone, you can say brick, or blocks. Another, it can be a framed wall, which will refer to your timber or metal wall. Okay, solid is what? Those hard materials which you take like stone, brick, or blocks. But framed wall is just with the help of timber or metal walls, which are little lesser thin than this solid walls. Okay, so each of the above two types of walls, solid and hollow and framed, has different characteristics that satisfy the functional requirements of the wall. Because there are different types of walls, as in the classification you have already known. So solid kind, that this your solid wall, which is made up of brick or suppose stone masonry. So these solid wall can also be an interior wall, right? It can be an interior wall or exterior wall, or it can be also a non-load bearing wall or a load bearing wall. So this depends upon its characteristics. This characteristics of the solid, hollow, and framed masonry. This will depend upon the functions it is providing, or depend when they satisfy the functional requirements of the wall. Okay, they have different characteristics to satisfy. So one type may have good resistance to fire but may possess poor insulating properties against heat. One may have poor resistance to rain. Okay, so different things. Like you see, this can your solid ones may have a higher resistance to your as well as fire resistant, or they mean okay, fire resistant it can be. Then it can have poor resistance. Poor resistance to rain will be what for the framed ones, or the hollow ones can be poor resistance, can give poor resistance to your rain penetration, but good insulating against it maybe. Then we have, there are different. Okay, so this was your different types of your masonries. Now we'll be talking on the type like for the stone masonries. Okay, so your stone masonry, if we talk about the stone, hello, am I not audible? Atul Tator 109. Can't hear you, man. Am I not audible? Am I audible? Okay, fair
Audible,
enough.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you, fair enough. Okay, then if we go to this was the masonry classifications. Then we have for you there are different types of material. Sorry, there are different types of what? Masonry. Like it can be stone masonry, concrete masonry, brick masonry. Okay, so we'll discuss those now. Where is your we'll talk first about the stone masonry. So your stone masonry is okay. Where it is, I'm not getting. I'm having some problem in sharing screen. Masonry, what we have done. This one we have done. Okay. So, oh, I'm not sharing my screen, right? Okay. So this is your. Am I sharing my screen? My screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is we will be talking about the stone masonry. We had talked about the different classifications of masonry. We have now we'll be talking about the stone masonry, then either brick or the concrete masonry. So what is a stone masonry? If you see, stone masonry, what is that? It means the construction of building using building blocks. Okay, blocks like stone, bricks, concrete blocks. Masonry means these. Okay, we know that stone, either it can be stone, bricks, concrete. So we will be talking about stones. Okay, so masonry is used for the construction of foundation, plinth walls, and columns. We know that. So you can see in the pictures itself, these are nothing but your masonry. What is a masonry? Masonry means the combining of different materials, or you can say combining material, same material with binding material. So these are the stones you can see, which are stones of various sizes. That means combining these stone of different sizes and shapes with the help of masonry. That means what? Masonry with the help of binding materials such as your cement, sand, water. Okay. So mortar is the binding material for the building blocks. Mortar is nothing but the binding material. Okay. What do you mean by mortar? Mortar, you already know. So that mortar which is used to combine these materials together, whether it be seam matches of the same and different, it is your masonry. It is known as your masonry. These are nothing but your masonry. This is the okay. So next, if we see, next is your, these are some of the pictures which you can see. Stone masonry, marble, okay, Qutub Minar, these things are all masonry, nothing but your masonry works. So what are the types of stone masonry? These are your two types, different, rubble masonry and ashlar masonry. Okay, your stone masonry can be of two types, which is rubble masonry or ashlar masonry. Rubble masonry again can be divided into four types, which is coursed rubble masonry, uncoursed, dry rubble, polygonal shaped rubble masonry. Ashlar masonry can again be subdivided into five types, which is your ashlar fine masonry, ashlar rough tooled masonry, ashlar chamfered, ashlar facing, ashlar black back in course. Okay. So, what do you mean by this? First, we'll be discussing the rubble masonry. So, under rubble masonry, we have the first one to be the coursed rubble masonry. So, what is that? In this type of masonry, stones having straight bed and sides are used. Okay, stones which have straight bed, okay, which will have a flatter surface, okay, and sides are flat surface and sides. These are used. The stones are usually squared and brought to hammer dressed or straight cut finish. Okay, these are coarse rubble masonry means what? These are those stones which are hammered and made into a shape of square with a flat surface and corners, sides, and then they are used as a masonry. Okay, so this is known as your, this type of masonry work is known as your coarse rubble masonry. Okay, so next is your uncoursed. Coarse rubble masonry. Coarse rubble masonry in this uncoursed square. This is uncoursed. Okay, here it is mistaken. This is not coarse. The last one was, this was your coarse rubble. This is your uncoursed rubble masonries. Okay, so we have what in this type of uncoursed square rubble? In this type of uncoursed rubble masonry, we have what? Square rubble masonry, different sizes of stones having straight edges and sides are arranged on face in several irregular patterns. These patterns, this is the face of your wall. So, okay, meeting is going to end. So you can see, okay, the different types of stone masonry we'll be discussing in the next class. For now, you can give me your attendance. Today's for okay, tell your roll numbers. Wait, let me check. I'll call out the roll numbers. You just, those who are present, I can just mention here. 61 present, 88 present, 109, 085, 119 present, 92 present, 112 present, 95, 51, 14, 63, 87, 4, whoever's roll number I can view, I am just writing out 91, 98, 107, 019, 068, 66, 84, 90. Others
117, ma'am.
117,
62 present, ma'am.
62,
17 present, ma'am.
70,
Ma'am, 25.
20. Hmm. Rupees
17, ma'am.
17 I
Ma'am,
guess.
107.
Yeah, 107.
107, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
KK
112.
81. 112. Yeah, I called whoever's I called out, I have given the attendance. Nagaito is Zimo. What's the roll number? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
17, ma'am. 17, ma'am.
10, 7, 9, 20, 25. Two of you's roll number I have not got.
Ma'am,
99.
25.
99 and I'll call out the roll numbers, okay? Whoever says missed out, you just inform. 61, 88, 109, 85, 119, 92, 112, 95, 51, 14, 63, 87, 4, 91, 98, 107, 019, 68, 66, 84, 90, 117, 62, 17, 25, 99. Who is missed out? Two of you are missed out, I think.
Number 17, ma'am.
Hmm?
017.
Okay. And one more was there. Someone is missing. Who is there?
87, ma'am.
87 is given. I already called out the names. Whoever I have given already the attendance. But two of you's name I have not called. I don't know who. One was 017. No, 017 also I called out. After that also two persons were left. I don't know who are they. You people are listening or not, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I have given the roll attendance, okay. 27 participants were there, but I got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 26. One more was there, I think. I don't know who was that left out. Okay.
Ma'am, 109.
109 is given.